Good morning and welcome to Strange Days, a show where people call in to talk about what's going on in their lives, and I'm here to listen and provide feedback. I've been playing through games exclusively on stream while I wait for an audience to form, and if you need my full attention, I'm willing to pause the games and do just that. But until then, let's get into it. It's Tuesday. It's been a slow start today, but here we are, back again on the ranch. I hope you've had a great start to your day. It's still cold. It's still winter, and it's starting to warm up. Now, getting back into it, as I try to remember what it is I'm doing. So what was I doing? I'm still trying to finish up, wrapping up some of the achievements and finishing up collecting some of the more expensive purchases. So I'm still trying to get hit by a bolt of lightning. Which Ember Valley appears to have good weather right now for that. So let's head over there. And see if we can't get some lightning strikes. Apparently there's lots of pink slimes since we're also... Ooh. Hit me! There we go. Got that lightning strike. Need to shoot a tard, a tornado. And I need a whole bunch of resources all at the same time, and then purchases in the shop. So... I need lots of wind. So far, not lots of wind anywhere. Yeah, none of the locations have strong wind, so that's not super awesome. But I can work on collecting supplies and getting some of the more expensive stuff down. I honestly thought getting struck by lightning was going to take longer. Because last night it didn't seem like any of the places had a good thunderstorm going, but that turned out to be a little easier than expected. I want to get... I think that is to the resource gathering quantum... blah blah blah. Yeah. There it is. I almost deleted it and had to walk home. I don't think I actually needed to do that because I could probably use the quantum blah 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 there to collect the lightning and... Oh no, because I probably have to do it in the storm stuff. What? I need to go collect the stuff because it has to probably be during the event. So we need to have strange diamond, sun sap, royal jelly, and lightning moat. So let me go get the lightning moat while the lightning event is still going on and it can be collected. So we're still in a heavy lightning storm here. Come on. Hit me. No, that's storm glass. I need the other stuff. I'd very much appreciate it if you didn't just decide to cancel the storm right now. There you go. There we go. Lightning motes. Okay, now let's go see if I can find a diamond specifically. Because I need a strange diamond in hand rather than in the vaulty vault. I also need to remember not to stick it in the vault, because that would be useful. Nope, that is death, and death seems like the wrong direction. Good morning, and thank you. I have to go to the in-person meet today, and I try to look my best when I have to go meet people in person, so... And besides, sometimes they bring guest speakers, so, you know, dress to impress. How are you this morning? Sure. We are not saying I have X, but a chance of X. We have proof of X, an example of X, but the proof gives no information to X or how to X. And X in itself is an example and proof. Examples of X. What do you mean the proof gives no information to X? Or how to X? Then how is it a proof? No, I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing this I know more than you shenanigans. Either you're gonna have a conversation about it or we're not gonna do this. No, we're not doing it this way. We're not doing this I know more than you. We're gonna have a conversation or we're not. It's a conversation or I'm not playing the dangling bait game. You can have a conversation with me and we can discuss it, but we're not gonna play this. You keep doing this where you dangle things. You drop something in my lap, you want a reaction, and I'm not going to do it. Because I keep questioning you. Your motives, you keep dropping things that don't work. And you keep saying that each time, okay, my bad, because you keep dropping fallacious arguments. It feels like you keep trying to walk me into some baited argument or baited situation where you're trying to pull me into a, you know, corner. And it feels disingenuous. Like, I don't mind having a conversation or a discussion about things, but it feels like you're trying to corner me. Oh, I don't have any of those coins left. Sure, but and I can appreciate that, but you're painting a flawed picture while forcing me to offer my opinion with inadequate information. Like, you are trying to offer the most minimal amount of information without being able to answer questions, or like you're trying to force an answer out of me without allowing me to pose questions or really. It feels like you're trying to force me to answer a question without me being able to get the framing correct. Because this almost feels like a probability situation where you're asking almost a. So the way it sort of feels because it's been a while since I took probability combinatorics and it feels like one of the questions we had where we talked about. No, I'm not frustrated. I'm just trying to remember because it's been a long time. where we talked about the logic gating, where it's how we as people tend to fail to think about how the probability fallacies that happen when we think about positive testing in oh, I forgot to take my notes. What is it? Like, apologies. When we get medical testing done, like false positives, that's the word. So when you get false positives, what that implies when you get the next test done, and what the likelihood is of false positives versus false negatives, and how that affects the probable outcomes. And the way that the question, or the way that you're framing this question, sort of feels like it's lining up with the way that question comes. And so that's why I was trying to ask about more information for it, because the way it feels to me is that it feels like it's framing that way. Because you're saying that you don't, it's not guaranteed that you have it, but a probability of it, but there's a lack of proof. And so, you know, when you start talking about proofs is sort of logics, and then probabilities. And so I was starting to frame it in the way of, you know, probabilities and like I was trying to break it apart, how I would have evaluated it in probability functions and combinatorics, and looking at, well, not combinatorics, but oh, it's been so long since I had to take that class. But I was trying to break it apart so I could look at each of the pieces of the facts and starting to evaluate it, so I could look at how each of the pieces go together. And I was trying to organize the information so that we could evaluate them. And I was trying to do it so that I could start to evaluate how all of it comes together, which is why I started asking questions about it, because you said examples of X, but gives no information on X. But you keep referring back, and repeatedly you've talked about things being how it's mind-bending and makes people question a lot about things. And I'm like, but you're just offering this philosophical, you know, insertion into these things, and you keep offering how it's so hard for people. And it's like, yeah, that's great. You know, blow smoke. I don't care. That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. If you want me to you know, think about things, that's fine. But stop blowing smoke at me. You know, give me the thing, allow me to evaluate it. That's great. But stop telling me how hard it is and allow me to evaluate it. But if I'm going to ask questions, I'll ask them. Like, it's great, but I'm going to have questions. I'm going to inquire. But it doesn't make any sense if it's a proof, it needs to prove a thing. That's what proofs do. If it doesn't prove it, then how is it a proof? The proof gives no info in any way, in any method. On what it's proving is the answer. So, if the proof does not support the proving of what it proves, then it isn't a proof. It has to support its proof. Like, it's proving, like, that is the intention of a proof. Otherwise, it isn't a proof. Even if the proof is non-intuitive, it has to support its purpose. Slow down, please. No, but everything that has proof has zero knowledge proof that has been made. Act also on top. Right, but the difference here is, so is, okay, before you proceed, is there a distinctive difference between a proof and like proving? So the way I think of it is like a proof is so like not everything gets a proof. Okay, because I think that's where I failed. Because and see, this is why the discussion part matters, and why I'm not frustrated, because the conversation matters, and why I feel like the conversation part is where it's important, and why the conversation helps me too, and why I feel like sometimes it's a trap, because I feel like if we had the conversation where I wasn't felt like I was pushed into a corner, it would have helped to have the discussion. Hang on. Too many things. I can. Probabilistic method proves that an object with certain properties must exist, showing that if you pick the probability of it having those properties is greater than 0. This is so. This is why it felt a little disruptive, because I was working under sort of the idea of like evidentiary proof rather than like existence proof, and having a conversation about it and talking through it would have brought me more to your understanding. And I think that I get where you're coming from more, and I understand it a lot better. And I'm more willing to go down this rabbit hole and do a little bit more looking into it. And I think this is a bit more clear. I would need to do, as usual with our conversations, I would need to do more looking into some facets, because I don't know how much I specifically agree with. But again, I have to do more reading into the. I have to find where the message was that you put. The disproof needing one example to disprove, because I don't know how I feel about that specifically. But again, facts and feelings. But I would need to read more about that to see how much that is supported. I'm assuming that the hostility is intended to lead toward the idea that it should be public. Now, the real problem is not this exists. Is that if you're a student and use it, what happens? I'm assuming it's a treatment. Oh, thank you for the follow. Oh, you mean like if someone wrote something like that? Hello. It depends on the class and the assignment and how on task they are. It really depends. How are you doing this morning, Warden? Really? I actually just like got to like the end game here. I haven't been this far in Slime Rancher 2 before. So like I've played before, but I haven't gotten like this far. So the gray maze or the gray labyrinth was kind of a surprise. I hadn't been there before. I mean, it's an interesting question, but it really depends on the class. Like, if it's a philosophy class, if it's a class on mathematics, if it's, I mean, it depends on the assignment. It also depends on whether or not the instructor has the capacity to grasp at what the student is writing. Because it's a lot to take in, and it's a lot to, like, handle. But, I mean, we're also dealing with a lot globally, and it also depends on the academic level, too. Like, if we're talking at an undergraduate level, they might just be happy that the student's writing. Not work tech. Gadgets. More lava dust. Back to the Emberlands. All to go get some ground dust. I could just go scoop some up off the ground. You'd never know the difference. I'm sure the machines would never know. Pour it in there, it'd be like, oh, it's lava dust. It'd be like, oh yeah, it's lava dust. Never know the difference. That's primordial oil. That's not lava dust. I mean, I'll take it, but it's certainly not what I'm here for. Ow. Ow. You'd think by now I'd learn not to step in the lava, but nope. I just love how it cleans my shoes. No, I mean, it's good to be informed of those kinds of things. It's something I'm going to have to dig into. It's just not something that is going to be an easy read, certainly. And it's definitely not going to be a quick read. I feel like it's going to be one of those things that's going to be a deep rabbit hole that's going to take effortful time, because I don't know a lot of the background to it. I have some foundational instruction in it, And it's going to take some time to refresh myself. Clearly. But it is something that has underpinnings in the scientific method. And since I am a foundational science, well, not found, like I don't want to say foundational, but I am a basic scientist, that it's important that I have that information, like especially if it's going to have critical implications in science. So it's important to know. So I am not frustrated with the conversation or with you. I am intrigued, perplexed, and I'm curious. So I'd rather go with curious rather than frustrated. More than anything, I think that it's a learning experience for both of us. I mean, it doesn't hurt to like start looking into it. If it is cryptographically specific, then it's cryptographic. But if it has implications in the scientific method and scientific, you know, well, I mean, even in the domain of statistics, there's already shifts happening that are struggling to be accepted, because among statisticians and behavioral statistics, I'm an advocate for shifting the post from NHST, null hypothesis statistics, to Bayesian, because I just think that we should be moving away from p-tests, you know, moving away from it's my perspective that we should be moving away from p-testing to adjustment testing in Bayesian analysis, but that's a whole other story. I'm not going to go into that because it's a bit dry in my perspective. Plus, I also haven't really gone into those talks in a while. I also need to start wrapping up because I'm coming up on the end of the stream. So once I get back to base, I'm going to deposit these resources and I'm going to start closing up because I have one of my... Whoa! I will not have enough power to get over that gap. But I know today's stream, well, this morning's stream was short. I will be back later this evening. As usual, I want to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I hope all of you take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and I will see you this evening. Thank you so much for being here, and y'all take care.